Neo Mega Man back again for part 10 of Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. We're on the road to Tanabata, another big festival coming up, with more time in the student council room. Things have returned to normal. Well, I transferred at a pretty unusual time, and I can hardly say that I had a normal first few weeks here. I guess it's more like things have calmed down and reached normality. I've been here longer than I thought. It's not hard to think about all the stuff I must have missed in the old school, or in this school before my arrival, or the things that might have happened in my old school since I've been gone. I wonder where these feelings have come from, since I didn't leave much behind. I have a lot more here that I like. If that wasn't the case, then I wouldn't even bother with something like Student Council, or Shizune and Misha. I would be hard-pressed to care about anything if this school was how I imagined it would be. So, even this feeling of a daily routine makes me feel glad in a way. I dread the amount of work that's going to hit me in Student Council after school, enough to want to consider stepping out of my duties just this once. Yet it's nice to feel like there's something I can do. Shizune drops a stack of attendance sheets next to me. Thanks again for helping out. Thanks again, Hee-chan. Sure is a lot of work, though. I had to skip out on sign language class again. But now I'm at a level where I can understand most of Shizune and Misha's conversations with each other, so I'm not too bothered by it. Yeah, this is one of the things that the writers sort of do in a show, but not really show kind of way. Hisao is basically learning sign language better and better and better as the days progress, even though we don't always see him learning sign language. It's kind of one of my complaints with this path, but at the same time, just him sitting there learning sign language would kind of be boring. Probably about as difficult for us to sit through as it is for him to actually do. Shizune still doesn't know that, though, and I'm determined to keep things that way until I'm very sure of my skills. Perhaps it's a little childish of me. Tanabata's in less than 5 days, but they're only going to start building the stalls tomorrow. Hee-chan, we might have to help out with building the stalls again starting tomorrow. Why? Was that the point of taking... What was the point of taking them apart? That took days, didn't it? Yep, that's right. Even though Hee-chan wasn't there for it. I would have helped out if you asked. It wouldn't have made sense to bore you with cleanup duty after you enjoyed the festival so much. I'm not gonna repeat that. Besides... Hee-chan is lazy anyway. He would have tried to run away again. Shi-chan doesn't like playing Foxhound. That stings. Shizune covers her mouth with her hand and starts shaking. It takes me a second to realize she's laughing, mostly because she's doing it so completely soundlessly. It's a little strange to see, but more or less the same good-spirited kind as Misha's without being eardrum piercing. That's a good question though, Hee-chan. Huh? Stalls! It's a storage issue. The school doesn't have anywhere to store so many stalls since each one's pretty large. They won't pay for outside storage either, so this is what they decided on. It's inefficient, but cheaper. Yeah, right, they do, but they don't want to pay. Sorry, Shi-chan. It's because of the previous generation. The leadership decided that the outside storage costs had risen too much, and the student council before us was too weak-willed to tell them that it was stupid to have to build and disassemble 60 stalls twice every year. Okay. Hee-chan, let's eat something. It feels like we've been working all day. Probably because we kind of have. Now that I think about it, I am hungry. I would have had lunch, but it was really crowded today for some reason, so I decided it wasn't worth the trouble. It was like that today because they had some especially interesting things for sale on the side. Like what? No, don't tell me. I guess it doesn't matter since I won't be able to eat them anyway. Shizune looks oddly pleased with herself. I wonder what the context of that could be. I prepared ahead of time for this. Beaming with self-satisfaction, she produces a wide assortment of food from her bag. I can immediately see that 90% of it or more was taken from the lunchroom. There's a lot, as well. Isn't there a limit on how much a person can buy? That means these gains are definitely ill-gotten. The veal cutlet bread is always sold out in the first minute of lunch. I'm impressed you managed to obtain one. Thank you. I reach for it quickly, but Shizune immediately makes a grab for it as well. Her hand goes slack for a second when it touches mine, but she immediately pushes forth with a redoubled effort, that blazing competitive spirit flashing dangerously in her eyes. Her fingers pry at mine, searching for an opening. I don't budge an inch, prepared to fight for this bread with my life. I might never have another chance to eat this. I'm fully aware that if we continue like this, we could crush the bread, greatly reducing its edibility. Misha, tell her that unless she lets go, the bread's gonna be crushed. Why can't you do it yourself? I'm startled she could so nonchalantly let it slip that I could communicate with Shizune just fine if I wanted to. I almost considered the possibility it was intentional, but I'm sure she was just distracted trying to tear the wrapper off a juice box straw. Isn't it obvious I can't let go of the bread? I can't tell Shi-chan that, then. Why not? Because you have a stake in this, so I can't trust you. If Shi-chan wants to reply, she has to let go of the bread, and then you win. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's what you want, He-chan. It wouldn't be fair, so I'm gonna be neutral. Like Switzerland. Switzerland? Do you know about Switzerland? Of course I do. It's neutral. They're neutral. Shizune stares at me cockily, the tip of her tongue sticking out slightly from between her teeth as she continues to tug firmly at the veal cutlet bread between us. Suddenly she lets go and holds her hands up, palms facing outwards, the universal gesture of peace. This seems like a poor way to settle this, doesn't it? And we might crush the bread. She glares, and her passive expression quickly plummets into a disapproving grimace. He-chan, drop the bread. We're negotiating now. I drop the bread reluctantly. Misha's hand darts in from the side, her fingers drumming across the table as it makes its way over. Ah, don't mind me. I don't even really like veal. I'll just take this sandwich right here and something to drink too. Picking them up cautiously, she immediately retreats. She has the right idea. I could just pick something else, and there are lots of delicious things here. The chicken katsudon bread is also a popular seller, ranking high in taste and demand, but I've already eaten one before. You're so immature, Hisao. This wouldn't be a problem if you could just pick something else. The chicken katsudon bread is delicious. Blah, 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 repeating. But I've already eaten that. He-chan, why are you so obsessed with eating the veal cutlet bread specifically? It's hard to get normally. Rare things are more delicious. You're acting like a child. Why don't you eat the chicken bread? That's not important. There's no reasoning with you, so it looks like there's only one way to settle this. We're gonna play for it. That doesn't matter, we'll play for it instead. Somehow I expected this. It's a logical conclusion. Shizune's been studying for a long time, pretty much continuously up till now. With our finals over, I guess that surplus of energy has to go somewhere. Play what? The oldest game known to man, upon which the fate of nations has been known to rest. Rock, paper, scissors. We'll play rock, paper, scissors. Really? That sounds so serious, Shi-chan. There's no humor in her expression. She's dead set on this. Okay, okay. She draws her hand back, and I mirror her. Go! We both put out a rock. A draw. I thought I had the perfect plan. Rock is unbeatable. Shizune frowns, deeply upset by this unexpected turn of events. Not as planned? Again! 2 papers. Damn. Again! We both throw out 2 rocks again, but a third hand is among us representing scissors. This looks like fun. Can I play? It's a duel, Shi-chan? Dueling conduct. You're right, I don't really know. The faster she signs, the harder it is to follow. In fact, it looks like even Misha's having trouble keeping up. What's she talking about? One more time. We tie again. Every time, Shizune demands a rematch, eventually skipping that step altogether and throwing rock, paper, or scissors out with increasingly reckless abandon. Even playing completely randomly, we continue to tie. This is a mathematical long shot, and obviously something that they would have to rehearse ridiculously if this were in motion. Misha hovers above us, watching it all and laughing each time we draw. After 16 rounds, Shizune pushes her chair away from the table and stands up. Enough of this, Hee-chan. I see what I've been doing wrong. This will all be over in the next round, so brace yourself, okay? Okay. I have studied your thought processes, and I see how you play. I'm anticipating your next move and will combat it expertly. This is all news to me, since I can't remember what the hell we were doing this over. Shizune grins confidently, a look of fearless daring on her face. Her cool eyes flash with pure competitive spirit as she draws her hand back, goading me wordlessly to do the same. Her form is amazing, like a professional bowler or something, just to throw a hand motion. 2 papers. That face. Shizune's body immediately goes slack, and she rubs her temples with a look of exasperation on her face as she lets out a sigh so long it sounds like a tire deflating. I realize I've gotten a lot hungrier in the time we've been doing this. We can just split it. I break the bread in half and offer one half of it to Shizune. She takes it. Thank you. She looks at the bread in her hand, studying it. But this feels hollow somehow. Regardless of how she feels, she still eats it. All of a sudden, I see Misha observing the scene out of a corner of my eye. Hee-chan, that was very romantic, I think. Oh, come on! She laughs and takes a bite of her second sandwich. We eat in silence for a while, Shizune and I managing to avoid any other contests, and then we go back to work. As I finish up the day's usual filing, I think to myself that this might be Shizune's way of trying to start this week on a high note. After all, tomorrow's when the real work begins, and with her hands literally full building stalls, she won't be able to talk very much. It'll likely be pretty dull and tiring like it was the first time around. I'm appreciative of her effort in that case. It's nice to have days like this as a way of enjoying yourself before the days ahead. I think that was her idea as well. God, the afternoon track is so damn loud. I also remember that I still have to get rid of Kenji's package. The damn thing is bulky, and somehow I've never been able to track him down since I picked it up. After student council is adjourned for the day, I walk towards the vending machines to look for something to drink, parting from Shizune and Misha. It's a short trip, but even after just a few seconds, I start to get the feeling I'm not alone. A pair of hands cover my eyes. Guess who? Shizune? It's me, Hee-chan. Yeah, I know. Then why'd you say it was She-chan? It's okay to be wrong sometimes, Hee-chan. You're too proud. Anyway, after student council, you don't usually have any plans, right? So you're just gonna go straight to your dorm? Where else would I go? Okay, that's great. That's great, Hee-chan. I wanted to talk to you today, so this works out perfectly. 2 high school students, alone, after classes, in a quiet, empty building. As the sun dyes the sky a romantic amber color, a cute girl says that she wants to talk. What a secretive and appealing situation. My imagination is buzzing. It's likely not going to be anywhere near as exciting as I'm making it out to be, but it's fun to play it up that way. The popping sound of my canned coffee opening destroys any chance of maintaining such a cheesy mood, something louder than I'd ever thought imaginable, amplified by the context of the situation. I sigh both in disappointment and relief. So what is it? Oh, actually, I'm a little behind in some of my classes, and if I don't catch up, it could be a problem. I can't put it off any longer. My teachers say that I have to really start taking things seriously, so I should listen, especially because this is the 3rd time. I'm sorry, Hee-chan. Why are you apologizing? I won't be able to help you or She-chan with student council for a few days. It'll only be for 2 or 3 days, really. I'll definitely try to come back as soon as possible, but I can't say I'm happy about this. It's supposed to be getting really busy this week, too, isn't it? This is some unfortunate timing. For a second I want to ask if maybe Shizune could pull some strings to get her out of it. But Misha looks so genuinely apologetic about it, it'd be pretty dickish of me to say something like that. Besides, if she says it's something that can't be put off any longer, I'm inclined to believe her, considering how surprisingly serious she can be with her student council duties. Yeah, I see. It's okay. You managed with just Shizune and yourself last year, didn't you? So I'm sure I'll be able to help. I'm sure I'll be able to as well. Don't worry about it. Really? Thank you, Hee-chan, really? Yay, yay! I didn't know Hee-chan would take it so well. I thought you'd be worried with how there's going to be so much work with Tanabata coming up and everything. Damn, she knows me oddly well. But Hee-chan is so composed. I'm glad. Yeah, you're sort of right. I was thinking about it, but it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to freak out over that. It's going to be a little annoying passing that pad back and forth to talk to Shizune, though. Hee-chan, just tell Shi-chan that you can use sign language too. I don't understand why you won't. Not yet. I can understand most things already, but I want to really be sure. Actually, I wouldn't mind. The secrecy's killing me too. It'd be nice to be able to talk to her in an actual conversation. Don't worry, I'm gonna have to tell her eventually. I want to. Actually, I'm trying to think of a good opportunity for it. That won't be a problem, Hee-chan. Why not? Well, because I kind of told Shi-chan that you could understand her. She was worried about the same thing, that you wouldn't be able to understand each other. So I was worried, but it worked out fine in the end after all. I lose it. Urgh! Do you know how stupid I look now? I sat there for half the damn day acting like I couldn't read sign language. Are you seriously telling me that she knew the whole time I could? She's probably thinking this guy's a complete jackass pretending he can't understand me. I just made a total ass of myself. How could you let me do this? Misha frowns, seeming lost for words on realizing that I'm taking this differently than she might have expected. She doesn't speak again until after seeing that I've calmed down. But Hee-chan, I think this is definitely for the best. She says that without batting an eye, having waited patiently through my panic to say it. The cheerful delivery of her words makes it seem like she sliced out the time between when she dropped the bomb on me and now. It's pretty funny in a way. You have such a one-track mind, you know that? Yep. The damage is done. If Misha can believe that things will work out with such unflinching surety, then maybe it's worth giving a chance. And if things don't work out, I'll run as fast as I possibly can. Try and make it up to me anyway, just in case she offers to buy me another drink from the vending machine. It's a very small token of apology, but I suppose it's the thought that counts, and her thoughts are sincere. Plus, it's a free drink, so hey, why not? I don't think this is Tanabata yet. I'm gonna keep going. I throw back my daily fistful of pills with a glass of water. After a solid 8 hours of sleep, I don't really know what I was so afraid of last night. As I chew a particularly large tablet in half, I continue to rationalize my worries away. Shizune knew I was taking sign language classes all day yesterday and didn't make a big deal out of it. She might be mute, but that doesn't mean she can't make her feelings known. No, in fact, it seems like she's all the more direct for it. She doesn't beat around the bush or hold back. She always makes herself clear, unapologetically, so there can be no mistakes. So, if she wasn't mad then, it's unlikely she would be at all. And on top of that, I didn't do anything wrong anyway! But as that fear of mine recedes, the thought of spending a couple of days with Shizune without Misha takes its place. I hadn't really thought about it yesterday, but the idea becomes more and more intimidating. It's true I can understand sign language pretty well, but I would definitely hesitate to say I can understand it above a basic level. And if she were to speed up her signing, which she does a lot, I don't think I could keep up. Signing too is not my strong suit. Doing both at the same time like Misha can is still a distant dream. Hee-chan! What? Don't forget, you said you'd help out with building stalls today, behind the school right after classes are over, okay? I know. Last time you helped out, Hee-chan, we really appreciated it. This time it's even more important, so skipping out is unforgivable, okay? I want to ask why that is, but there isn't any opportunity to. Besides, Misha's behind in her classes, so it seems like a bad idea to distract her now that I know that. I can always ask her at lunch, which is what I end up doing. Because, Hee-chan, a festival that celebrates a town is exactly what it sounds like. It's to celebrate your home and its history. Tanabata is different. It's for wishes and lovers. That definitely makes it more important, doesn't it? Yeah, naturally it would be. Is that really what it's for, though? Hee-chan, you have no sense of fun. She puffs out her cheeks in displeasure before blowing the air out like a deflated balloon. You have to appreciate things like that, even if it's just an excuse to eat interesting things and dress up in the end. I'll be disappointed in you if you don't, okay? Before I could say anything, she turns to the side and she turns to the side to inhale a croquette. That's a funny picture. After classes, I meet Shizune behind the school, where it seems she's already set up everything sometime yesterday. She greets me with a short wave, and then with a flourish of the hammer already in her hand, extends her arm towards the stalls behind her. Some of them already half completed, others still haphazard piles of board bundled together with string. As time passes, I realize the pills can only do so much. I still get way more tired than should be normal. Luckily, Shizune's back is to me, so I can afford to take a lot of breaks without having to worry about her wondering why. When I stop and think about it, though, I start to feel pretty guilty for taking advantage of her inability to hear that my hammer stopped banging. It's a terrible thing to be happy about. Her work ethic is admirable. It's obvious that it bores her and even annoys her, but she doesn't slacken her pace. When she gets tired nailing a stall together with one arm, she switches to the other. Shizune. I feel like an idiot the second I say her name. I can't tell her what I think. There's a hammer in my hand as well, and in the end, I feel like I have to keep up with her. I can't slack off either, especially when it's just the two of us. There's no time to sign, no opportunity, not even for a compliment of job well done. Even something as casual that would require me to put my hammer down to get her attention, then sign it to her. A simple gesture turned into something so needlessly complex, like a single footstep taken on a road that's longer than I first imagined. I've known her long enough to know this, and still forgot it. The air is filled with the rhythmic knocking of nails being driven into wood. It's actually kind of nice after a while. To pass the monotony of the task at hand, I try to match my hammering to Shizune's, and then alternate it to try to form a beat. Of course, she doesn't notice. It makes me wonder, does the lack of sound make work like this seem more drawn out and boring to her? It's strange, but being unable to hear the results of her actions even as she feels the vibrations through her fingers, or having no concept of sound, does it bother her at all? Distracted, I don't notice Shizune sneaking up on me until her head pops into view. Taking a break? Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's do that. You can understand sign language. That makes it more convenient for both of us, even though you hid it from me. Why? Why what? Why did you decide to take on sign language? Her eyes don't break off from mine even for a second. Even if she needs to read my response, her peripheral vision's good enough. Once she has something in her gaze, she doesn't look away, like a hungry predator. It's strange how piercing her eyes can be, dark as a lake at night. Because I wanted to. It seemed like it would come in handy, and it did, didn't it? Yep. Sorry, I didn't catch any of that. See, this kind of thing still comes up now and then. I wish Misha was here. She has her work to make up for, doesn't she? That might be partly my fault. Misha doesn't need supplemental lessons. Her grades aren't the best, but she understands how the decisions she makes affect others. That puts her ahead of many people. Especially certain blondes. Ah. She doesn't forget things easily. Your sign language is very good. You're learning oddly fast. I've been taking classes for a while now, and it's kind of easy to pick up after a while through immersion or osmosis, that kind of thing. It's not too bad. And if I'm really stuck, Misha's there too. I guess I spoke too soon. I didn't understand any of that. Time to backpedal. Well, yeah, it's actually not that easy. It's actually hard as hell, like trying to pick up broken glass. But I guess in some ways it's interesting as well, like an adventure. Well, no. Picking up broken glass is not an adventure. Sure it is. It's just as challenging. If you use a dustpan and broom, it's not. I feel frustrated and sad. When I look up, I notice she has a can of soda in her hand. Where'd you get that? I forget that, but she understands anyway, following my eyes, and produces another one from behind her back. She tosses it in my direction, and I catch it with both hands. I brought an extra one for you. She pauses to slide her fingernail under the tab of the can and pop it open before setting it aside for a moment. If you're going to try and help me so much, then I have to look out for you too. It's only natural. If you're going to learn sign language, that's something entirely different. I'm naturally going to be impressed. What separates the two is obligation. I'm very happy. She downs her drink in one go, literally just chugging it, stretches her arms out behind her back, and jumps to her feet. Okay, back to work. And like that, it's over. Oh, Snapple. Dang it, I meant to look at the music track. Shizune returns to her work with the same energy as before, and the lingering traces of smile on her face the only evidence that she'd taken a break at all. As I do the same, I think that Misha was right in saying everything would work out for the best. Everything so far seems to be going in that direction. Misha swings by as it starts to get darker, looking just as tired as I feel, and Shizune decides to stop for the day. As we cover the day's work and go our separate ways, I look at how fluidly they talk to each other and how easily they laugh together as they walk to their dorm. It makes me appreciate Misha's skill at sign language more. I wonder if I'll ever reach that level, or if I'll even have the time to. Wah. Okay, folks. I'm going to cut this part off here. Yep. So, we are good on time. As for me, I hope you're enjoying the story as it's playing out so far. I'm going to go ahead and confess here, now at the end of part 10, that Shizune's path is literally like my least favorite path in the whole game. I mean, I used to think that Rin's path would be my least favorite, but with Rin's path, it's at least interesting. You know, it's different. It's probably the most unique path out of all 5 that you can get in the game. And I kind of just spoiled something there, but hopefully you're not paying that close attention. But yeah, Lily's path, the path that I'll be doing last, is definitely my favorite. Mostly because of how things go in the end, but I'll leave that for then. Right now, Shizune's path is also by far the longest chronologically. What am I trying to say here? Her path goes from when Hisao joins Yamako Academy all the way to graduation at the end of her good ending, which is what we'll be seeing first. And yeah, I mean, it's a big one, folks. And there's going to be a lot of twists and turns along the way, and this is pretty much one of the first big turning points. I don't know if this upcoming episode will be Tanabata or not, but we're definitely getting there, and Tanabata is a big plot point that you guys definitely won't want to miss. So, for part 10 of Let's Play Katawa Shoujo, I'm your host, Neo Mega Man, signing off. Join me next time as we keep heading on. End of line.